Guardian 200 Young South Africans boasts over 15 inclusive categories aiming to recognize and reward youth who have created resilient, entrepreneurial and robust solutions to many of the country's problems. These are young people who are involved in actively shaping South Africa and playing a vital role in moving us forward. Well, we're joined today by one of them, Dr. Thandi Sithole, Senior Chemistry Lecturer with the University of Johannesburg. A very good morning to you, Doctor. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. What does it feel like to be recognized among the 200 top young people in the country?
Thank you, Tembegile. Thank you for having me on studio today. I don't want to lie, I'm absolutely elated and very proud of myself. For me, getting this recognition is just an affirmation, you know, and also a commitment and dedicating myself to the cause of education. In South Africa. I'm a mentor. I am also, you know, involved in nurturing black young people in South Africa who are from disadvantaged communities. You know, just to give them hope, to give them, you know, to tell them that, you know what, it is possible. It is possible to do and to be whatever that you want in South Africa, just for them to realize their potential. And for me to get this award, it really, means a lot to me in a sense that, you know, there are people out there who are really recognizing the work that we are doing there and appreciating the efforts that we are taking in for us to shape South Africa, for South Africa to be the country that we want it to be. And lastly, for me, this award really reminds me of the power that each and every one of us holds, you know, to make a significant impact in our communities and also the world at large. You mentioned your passion for working with young people, especially from previously disadvantaged communities, our townships, perhaps even rural South Africa, where most young black people come from. Do you come from a similar background, and is that why you're so passionate about that? Yeah, I come from a township in the outskirts of Pretoria called Soshanguve. So I am a product of a township. So that is, I am So that project is really close to my heart, and we are also doing another project with Johannesburg Business School, where we upskilling our graduates in order for them to penetrate the market in terms of, you know, we are not doing well in terms of, you know, employing graduates. We have a serious problem. So there's a program that we are running at the Johannesburg Business School whereby we trying to, you know, transfer skills in terms of digital transformation in this fourth industrial era, to try to give them the skills and the knowledge about digital transformation and see how they can align themselves with the qualifications that they have. And growing up in Soshanguve as a young black woman, why chemistry? Did you always know that chemistry is where you would ultimately find your living and your passion? I'm actually a senior lecturer in the Department of Chemical Engineering. Chemical Engineering? Yeah, Chemical Engineering. Pardon me. Sorry, I took a BA program. In chemical engineering. Sorry, what was your question? I was asking if chemical engineering had always been what you wanted to do as a young woman growing up in Soshanguve. Did you know then that it would be what you're doing now? Okay, funny how it was inspired by a gentleman called Scalo, who was by then working at Sithole. So during school holidays, he would come to our school just to give us lessons in maths, chemistry, and physical science. And he really inspired me, you know, to one day, because by profession he was a chemical engineer. So that's where the love for chemical engineer, because he instilled a keen curiosity about scientific phenomenon, if I may say, So how did you go from Sosha to then ultimately becoming a lecturer in this space? Sure. Okay, I did my first year at the Tshwane University of Technology. Actually, my diploma at Tshwane University of Technology. I am an NSFAS recipient, and I finished. Went to industry for 1 year. Then I was like, no, this is not for me. And then I went back for my bachelor degree in chemical engineering, whereby one of the modules was really research. And I was, you know, I was very interested in research, and I was excelling in research, and I fell in love with research, and that's when I got an opportunity and a bursary to do my master's. Then I was appointed as a assistant lecturer, then did my PhD. So in essence, I would say that I am a product of opportunities that were presented to me.
And from those opportunities, when you think back now, what stands out most, perhaps, as the most incredible one?
Yeah, I didn't imagine myself having a PhD in chemical engineering. I mean, PhD is the last level, it's an EQF level 10, so I didn't imagine myself having a PhD. When it happened, I was like, oh, that's it.
All of it before 35, right?
Yeah, all of it before 35. I obtained my PhD at the age of 28, yeah. Yeah.
And how then do you take, I want to go back to your passion, which is then taking what you have learned to other disadvantaged communities, and you're very passionate about STEM and taking that to people, science, technology, engineering and mathematics. How do you take that knowledge and apply it in a way in which a young woman from Soshanguve, for example, is able to process and then see what they can do if indeed that's where they want to go?
Yeah. So normally what we do at the University of Johannesburg, I usually go with the marketing team to, you know, for career guidance, where I would just give keynote addresses to students, just to, you know, I mean, most of the township, if you look at the township and the way it's structured, you'll see that people from the township, like when I was there was no motivation, someone that I could look up to, someone who is mentoring me and so forth. So for me, doing that, going back to my alma mater and giving back to the community, it's something that is close to me. So I'll talk about chemical engineering in my spare time. I usually give lessons to students, especially in chemistry and also in mathematics. Same thing that Scalo was doing to us. So I'm also doing that because
so
I saw the importance of
basically.
that. Yes.
And you mentioned something else there where you said you're also involved in a graduate program, because a lot of the people who come through the ranks then struggle to find their place in the labor market.
Yes.
Are you finding that people are still hopeful that things will come right when the statistics in this country are so discouraging, especially when you do want to do stuff for yourself and do better?
Yeah, that's why we came up with this project, or program, just to, you know, as an intervention to say, okay, the job market, where is it at the moment, and where is it going? And the digital transformation, it's, you know, is the talk these days. So yeah. So what we do is we try to realign them. If you are doing marketing, how does marketing look like in a digital world and so forth? So that's what we are trying to assist them with. Yeah.
Am I right to say you studied here in South Africa? You started at TUT?
Yes, and the University of Johannesburg as well. I did my bachelor's, my master's and PhD at the University of Johannesburg, and currently I'm doing my MBA at the University of South Africa,
right?
In the UK, yeah.
And that's what I wanted to ask you about, the difference, if a difference even exists for a young black woman in your space in terms of treatment and experience, having studied domestically and globally. Do you find that the spaces are both opening up? Is one more open perhaps to women than the other?
Not necessarily. This is my first qualification that I'm doing a long distance learning online. And for me, I don't see any difference. I think South African education is on the right track. We are on the right track. And for me, studying at the University of Suffolk was an opportunity. I got a sponsor from the UK. That's why I am studying there.
And speak to me about your mother, because in the piece that I was looking at, one of the quotes, in fact, is about how your mother, before her passing, is that correct? gave you a word, basically, which you carry with you as you go from one endeavor to the next.
Yeah. So, me growing up in Soshanguve, you know, I was actually raised by my grandmother, of which I believe she is watching. I called her this morning to watch the interview. So I was basically raised by my grandmother. My mother, before she passed on, she said to me, Thandi, I think the only solution out of this, I'm not from a well-off family, the only way out of this situation, I think the ticket is education. And I've been holding up to those words until I got my PhD and so forth. Yeah.
And where to next?
My next is definitely to finish my MBA at the University of Suffolk. So I'm just left with a dissertation, and then I'll be graduating. And yeah, what is next? I'm looking forward to being NRF rated because I'm in the academic space. I'm looking forward to, yeah, you know,
being on more of these global lists of inspiring young people.
And also, you know, lift other people as I rise. I think that is most important for me. And I've seen what mentorship can do for an individual. So, yeah.
Dr. Thandi Sithole, such a pleasure to speak to you. Congratulations once again on the honor.
Thank you so much.
Part of the Mail and Guardian Top 200 Young South Africans honored earlier this week.